On today's episode of Locked On 76ers, Keith and I talk about Game 5. Is it a must-win for the Philadelphia 76ers going into the TD Garden? Not as simple as you think. Let's break it all down next, right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome. You are Locked On 76ers. I'm Devon Givens from 97.5 The Fanatic Radio in Philadelphia, alongside my co-host and partner, as always, from theinquirer.com, live from Boston. He is the one and only Keith Pompey. What's up, Keith?
What's poppin', D? How you doing, bro?
Getting ready for tonight, man. Looking forward to it. Got a Game 5, even series, 2-2. A lot can be told in this game here in this Game 5 in Boston. I saw that as soon as you got to the hotel, there was a Celtics logo on the floor that you put out there on social media.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that in this hotel, and I've stayed in this hotel a lot of times.
Yeah,
it's like, they and then it's funny, like the Uber driver and everybody else talking about the game, talking about how the coach they feel like Joe Mazzulla messed up and choked, and that
again,
dude saying they're gonna crush the Sixers tomorrow. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
Feeling good about themselves, even though they don't necessarily love the coach at the moment. But we thank everybody, though, for checking in, making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On 76ers is free and available on all platforms, including right here on YouTube at Locked On 76ers. Well, Keith, 2-2. 2 games left in Boston. Should they play these 3 games in this best of 3? 1 in Philadelphia. That's on Thursday for game number 6. And right now, as we look at things, man, and we get ready to dissect, we'll talk about, of course, is this a must-win? We'll also get into a little bit later our keys to the game and how this thing may play out on this Tuesday night as the Sixers and Celtics go at it for the 9th time on the season, their 9th matchup. Keith, at this point, man, when we look at things, naturally you say for the road team, and especially the underdog, that this might be a must-win. You don't want to go down coming back home down in the series 3-2. But you can also look at the 76ers and say, you are coming back home. And you will have your home court advantage where you just won a game that it may not be a must-win for the Philadelphia 76ers in this one. How do you view it?
That's a tough question. It's a good question. I keep thinking about it going back and forth because technically it's not a must-win, right? Like if they lose the game, then they still have another game to play. But from a emotional standpoint, and we talk about how different this team's supposed to be from years past, I think they got to win this. I think this is a must win because I think it's going to be tough for them to win 2 games at the end, right? But again, it could happen, but I'm just saying from an emotional standpoint, when you look at the 76ers team, let's just talk about their history, right? The 76ers have lost their last 6 Game 5s in second round series. And it, a lot of times in all those ones, it led to their losing in the second round. The last time they won a second round series was 2001 Game 5 of the second round series was 2001 when they went on and lost to the Lakers in the championship, the NBA finals. So I'm looking at it like, I feel like if they lose, then all of a sudden that's going to give Boston momentum. Boston is looking at it like, listen, we got 2 games to get it right. We got 2. We could go to Philly and we can lose and we're fine. And the one thing is, I'm looking at it this way, D, is from a confidence standpoint. Like Boston is looking at those 2 wins that the Sixers had as fluky ones. James Harden had to average 42.5 points and both games came down to the final possession. Whereas in turn, they went ahead and smacked the Sixers twice, right, to get their victory. So I feel like a win tonight would go a long way in boosting the 76ers confidence. And then they can feel really good about coming out and closing it out on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's necessarily a must win as we talk about it. You're right. They don't have to because, again, they do live to play another day, which is Thursday. Now, that could go ugly like we saw a year ago. First two games in Miami blitzed the 76ers. No Joel Embiid, but they took care of them, and they handed them the business in those first two games. Come back to Philadelphia, Sixers take the next two. Then they lost it in game 5 and 6, where they put up so much energy in games 3 and 4 by the time they got back on the road for game number 5 and then back in Philadelphia for game 6. They were cooked. They were fried at that point. And that's not an excuse. That's just, what it was. And Miami was the better team at that point. So you look at it right here, and as we talk about it being different, dealing with the injuries, dealing with all the things that you talked about with everything involving the Boston Celtics, Keith. The funny part, man, that I was thinking about on Monday when I was doing the show, preparing for the show and then doing the show, I brought it up during the show on the Fanatic, which was, as you said, they had 2 fluky wins so far, and Boston may look at it that way. I'd imagine Boston feels like they played pretty well in game number 2, right? Blowing the Sixers out. Excuse me, pardon me. And with it, the Sixers haven't played what we've seen, Keith, all year, their best version of Sixers basketball. We've seen them win close games. We've seen games where they win ugly. We've seen them wins where they've blown teams out. We've seen where there have been some really competitive games, and we've said, man, that was a pretty good win by the Sixers playing their best. I don't think we've seen the best of the Sixers as of yet in terms of these 4 games. They won the 2 fluky ones, and they needed some all-NBA-like performance from James Harden. They haven't done it yet. So if it's going to come, Keith, to your point, I would think that even with it being on the road and as good as Boston is at home, that best version, that they would try to pull that one out of the hat for this game number 5 and play their best basketball that they've played all season long to make sure that they go up 3-2 in this series. We've seen the Sixers do things differently and it not work in their favor. And this one, man, again, they don't have to win this one, but if they do, I think they play their best game of the series in this one to take the 3-2 lead coming back to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that would. I think that would put a lot of pressure on Boston. Because
and as you said though, the confidence level that will help you knowing that, we just played our best game, and now we've given ourselves a chance to knock the number 2 seed off in the 6th game on our home floor. We couldn't ask for anything better if you're speaking as a player or coach of the 76ers. So that's how I look at it. They haven't played their best. It's not a must win, but if you're going to win, you might as well bust out the best game that you have in the series in this one. Not even the closeout. You bust out the one that you needed right now for the moment, which is game 5 tonight in a tough, hostile environment where the crowd's going to be on you. You got to come out there and perform, man. You're going to need all hands on deck. Let's see if they do it. And a must win for you, must win for the listeners out there, must win for me. How do you guys think? Let us know. Of course, at Pompey on Sixers on Twitter and at Devon G975. Let us know. Do you feel like it's a must win for the Philadelphia 76ers tonight? All right, coming up on the other side, Keith, we got to get into some game preview of what you're looking for from the 76ers tonight. We'll get into some key matchups later, but a preview of the game tonight in Boston. Huge game 5 between these two teams. Not necessarily must win for the Sixers, but it might be for the Boston Celtics. We'll preview the game when we get back next here on Locked On 76ers. But as I told you at the top, that this particular program is brought to you by Gametime. And have you ever had, some tough time buying tickets? Maybe you're trying to get some tickets for tonight at the TD Garden out there in Boston. You want to say hello to Keith, and you've had some issues. Well, buying tickets shouldn't be as stressful, and buying tickets to your favorite events should never be stressful, even though the game itself might really be stressful for you as a fan. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you, with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. And you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun that you have. What are some things, you ask, that you like about Gametime's app's experience? Well, let me tell you: flash deals and last-minute tickets, images of the seat views in the building, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, maybe a concert or a comedy show. The artist or comedian gets sick and they have to cancel. You don't have to worry. No problem at all. Event cancellation protection. And how about this one? Job loss protection as well. Easy way to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Gametime is the place for last-minute ticket deals. As I've told you, forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Maybe you didn't have it back in February, but you have it in May when you need to get the ticket. You can go to the Gametime app. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find the tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Get images of your seat again before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Tickets are sent directly to your phone to make it very easy for you, so you can navigate and you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off, especially if you want to be in Philadelphia for Game 6. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. We really appreciate it. Every day is tomorrow on the show, we will recap what took place between the Sixers and the Celtics in game number 5. Keith, as we get into it, man, let's preview this thing a little bit. These two teams, very identical when you look at the stats between the 4 games. Man, one win in game 4, big performance for James Harden. Same in game 1, back-to-back wins for the Celtics in games 2 and 3. But when you look at the numbers, man, they're so identical. These teams are through these first 4 games. Nothing really stands out to separate one from the other, man. So when you look at this one, getting ready for game 5 back in Boston, while we preview it, what are some of the things that you are focused on?
You know what I mean? The main thing is James. Like, how are you going to get James off? Because see, what they did is the last game, they kept setting like picking and getting Jaylen Brown off of him. And now I'm wondering how Jaylen is going to do. Like, how are you going to deal with it? Because Jaylen is probably going to fight through these screens. And now it's like, how are you going to continue to get James pretty good looks? To me, that's the number one thing. That's going to be the game. Because, I mean, Joel Embiid scored 30 or more points in the last 2 games. And they lost one and they won one. But James Harden went from having, 14 points to 42 points, right? So, to me, that's the number one thing, D. How are you going to make sure he get open looks? Another thing is they got to keep the spacing out, too. They got to keep that in order. Like, they tend to, at times when things are going well, they revert back to what they were doing, right? Well, now is the time to, like, keep the spacing right. Joel has to go to the middle of the court, the center of the court. The guys have to get on the side at the 3-point line to stretch it. They can't be congregating on the left side like they have been for a while. So those are the things that I'm really looking for. It's not really, I feel like, okay, we got to go out there and do this and do that to stop Boston. They got to do things to make sure that they give themselves the best chance of winning by executing their offense.
I will go the other way. I'll jump to the other side. And while you're right that the 76ers certainly do have to do that, we always talk about Sixers beating themselves. The opponent is always good. We know that, but you do things to hurt yourself. I'm going to the other side. They have to find out, how do you stop Jaylen Brown? They stop themselves. They stop
Jason Tatum.
giving the ball. Jason Tatum. Stop Marcus Smart. Um, how do you slow him down? Because he has had his way with this team in the series, and he can get any shot anytime he wants. He's finding the matchup that he wants, which is typically, going against James Harden or finding a matchup there with Tyrese Maxey, even though Tyrese Maxey has really been battling. And I thought James Harden played really well in the first quarter of the game and in the second. I'll give him the first half overall defensively, where they were both players engaged like we haven't seen in some time, with those two really going at it on the defensive end. But you got to be able to slow him down, man. He's able to get to the basket and finish. He's getting clean looks at the three. He is feeling good. Even when they do play good defense, sometimes you have to shake somebody's hand for the job that they did and finding a way to get the shot off over you. And he absolutely hit some big threes there early, Keith, in the first quarter against the 76ers, where it was like, wow, man, you couldn't play any better defense. But slowing him down is going to be imperative for this team, because if you can keep him slowed down, and maybe that does force Marcus Smart to start to try to score a little bit more and do some things that ideally I think Boston fans don't want him to do, where Sixer fans will be cheering and saying, yes, shoot again, Marcus, because he's going to now feel like if he makes a couple early, then what's going to happen later? He's still going to feel like he's in a good groove and a good rhythm, and now he's going to maybe shoot them out of the game. So finding a way to slow down Jaylen Brown is a big part for me when it comes to these two. You talked about getting Harden going again early, and I'm looking at it the other side. How are the Sixers defensively going to slow down Jaylen Brown as good as he has been? As you said, it's Jason Tatum, it's Marcus Smart that have been slowing him down. The Sixers also need to find a way to slow him down, because maybe, just maybe, their coaches say, hey, guys, can we let Jaylen continue to cook?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. They're not going to be able to do that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they got to stop that. It's
Got to
just,
slow that man down.
you got to slow him down. But I keep thinking Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum would keep slowing him down.
Do the Sixers a favor.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I mean, we haven't seen them in the series in a while, since the bubble. But yeah, things are definitely different. I'm sure talking to a lot of Boston fans, Keith, like I know you have and I have as well, they really thought that they were going to sweep the Sixers. So to be in this position, again, the Sixers are in a good spot. They really are, because of what they thought. And I'm sure Boston really felt like they gave up 2 games with the way that number one, with no Embiid in game 1, and the fact that they took the momentum from the Sixers in game 4 and still found a way to lose that game. So big game 5. That's our preview right there. 2 things that stood out. Now, some keys to the game on the other side in our final one. As we do that next, Sixers Celtics, again, game 5 tonight, TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. What's going to happen? We'll lay it all out for you, for some of our keys to this matchup tonight, right here, next, Locked On 76ers.
Before we get into the keys, let's talk about, Bet Online, right? Let's talk about PrizePicks. So forget Bet Online. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I like about PrizePicks is that, PrizePicks, you have a $1 million daily Superflex promotion, right, for the NBA playoffs. Every day every day of the NBA playoffs finals, one PrizePick user will win a chance to become a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern Time will be randomly selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following. 6 correct picks will equal $1 million. Dang, D, you got to do that, right? 5 correct picks equals $80,000. 4 correct picks equals $16,000. Full details can be found at prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at this link to be eligible for $1 million entry. Once you opt in, all you have to do is play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner. Now, the thing about this whole thing is, when I think about it, I always say to myself, like, hey, tonight, will James Harden have more than 18 assists, right? Will Joel Embiid have more than 30 points. Okay. How about Kevin Durant? Will Kevin Durant have more than 6.5 assists? Steph Curry have more than 3.5 3-pointers. So those are things you got to ask yourself, right? So then you also ask yourself, how does this work? What you do is you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go score more or less than their PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No completing against other people. It's just you and the projections available, right? So what you need to do is you go ahead and you download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up today and play Fantasy Daily Sports. First time users can receive 100% instant deposit matchup to $100 with the promo code locked on. If you deposit 100, PrizePicks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter the promo code locked on and sign up for an instant deposit matchup to $100.
Welcome back to Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, I'm Devon Givens with you as we give our keys to the game tonight. 76ers in Boston as the Celtics host the Sixers. Series tied at 2-2. It's an exciting one. We'll see what happens, see how it all plays out. As we do that, let's get to some of the keys that you are looking for, Keith, in this one tonight.
You know what? I think the key is trying to just make sure that you can get James Harden in great situations, get him, continue to keep him in space. But also, I think that, we talked about this yesterday. I mean, I know everybody talks about moving the ball and all that stuff is great, but the key is you got to get James and Joel off. You do, and then and then if it comes to it, then you allow James to take over. Not allow, but you lead the offense through him in the fourth quarter, right? Depending if Joel's going to play the way it is because of the fatigue, right? But I think that that's their best bet. I mean, when you look at James Harden, you look at Joel Embiid as a tandem, that has to be the most dominant tandem out there for based on what they do, right? So I feel like you got to use them. I mean, this is what they're here for, and what you do is you get some shooters behind on the floor with them. You get when you get some active other people in there, and all you do is you got that two-man go working, and you got the shooters around you. I think that's their best bet to win.
Listen, yeah, no argument from me on that one. I also want to add to that something that we did talk about after game number 4, which was you're going to need one of the other two, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, to find a way to bust through that wall and make a difference in the game in terms of points. The defense that they're both playing should be commended. The fact that Tyrese Maxey rebounded the way that he did, getting the offensive boards, hitting the glass in that first quarter, played with that energy. Again, both of them should be commended. But they're also there to, while help win games with any way that they can, they need to find a way for one of those two players, Keith, to shoot efficiently and get over 20 points in this basketball game to help Harden and Embiid. It's a must. And if they can do that, then I do think that they will be in a good place at the end of the game and positioning themselves to win it. So those are those two are one of them. And as we always do when we get into the intangible part of things, it's executing, it's protecting the basketball like they have. It's also making sure that they communicate on defense and that they give the effort to all the little things on the road in a tough environment. If you can take that crowd out of it a little early and make them second guess themselves and their team, then the 76ers should be in a good spot. We haven't seen them win big in Boston in a while. Game number 1 was game number 1. But really to have it where you really felt from start to finish that the 76ers are going to win here in Boston against this team. If you can get them frustrated and you can put them in that spot again, then I do really believe that if they're able to play that way and do those things that I just laid out, that you laid out with the Harden piece with Embiid as well, then that's going to be big. And I'll add this, because I know something that we focused on a lot coming into this series, and that's the Missoula Doc Rivers piece. It's 2-2 right now, Keith, and part of it is in the 2 games, Doc Rivers got the best of Missoula, and Missoula got the best of Doc Rivers in the other 2 that they won.
Mm-hmm.
So on the road, Doc Rivers, give him some things to think about, make him uncomfortable. And if Doc Rivers does that, 76ers will be in a good spot at the end of the night on this Tuesday.
I agree. If he does that, yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, listen, man, we'll be back, everybody, tomorrow for all of our everydayers. We, of course, welcome in the new folks and let your folks know where we are. And we thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Every day is again tomorrow on the show. We will recap game number 5. Will the Sixers or the Celtics have the 3-2 advantage coming back to Philadelphia? Keith, do you mind letting the good folks know where they can find us?
Sure. Like you can, like Dee said, wherever you get your podcast at, you can get this podcast. And you can also go to our YouTube channel. But when you go to the YouTube channel, make sure that you click on the Liberty Bell. That will ensure that you become a new subscriber. And then with that, whenever we post a new podcast, you get a notification. So do that. And then also you need to make sure you follow my man D on the Divine Giving Show. D, what time you going to be on the show tonight?
6 to midnight, man.
6 to
Pre-game,
midnight. Wow.
post-game.
Okay, so he's going to do the pregame so from 6 to what, 7:30?
6 to about 7:15, and
yeah. And then after that, he's going to come on after the game. So D's going to be a busy guy, extremely busy. So make sure you do that. But also follow him on Twitter at DivineG975. DivineG975. Follow me on Twitter at Pompey on Sixers. Pompey on Sixers, and you can read my coverage from tonight's game in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and that's in Philadelphia Inquirer paper or Inquirer.com.
And let us know what you guys think ahead of the game, win or loss. By the end of the night. Let us know at Pompey on Sixers, at DivineG975 on Twitter. Keith, I will talk to you tomorrow, man. Enjoy your time there, and we'll get back together again after the game once this thing is done. Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody.
All right, bro. Peace. See y'all.